Dag the Eve August Falcha. Hi, hello, and welcome. It is John O'Sullivan from the Irish Pagan School, and we are here with our another weekly coffee chat, talk, check in, whatever we're calling it. So, with coffee on board, continuing my habits of turning up and having these chats and conversations, um, the one I wanted to kind of discuss today was a very interesting one because it's something that happens quite a lot with ourselves, with me and Laura here at the Irish Pagan School. And so it's a question that comes up time and again. That's why I thought I'd kind of take a bit of time and explain the why behind it. And that why is why Laura and I will not diagnose your dreams or your journeys or your visions for you. So before we dive into that, do make sure you're popping down into the description there and grabbing the free resources guide that we have. It is a list, it's a curated list of what we at the Irish Pagan School believe to be good resources to get you on the right foot going forward. Because a lot of people do come to our community spaces wishing they'd found us sooner, because they've been through such poor information, misinformation, or downright, colonized or appropriative, damaging content. So to answer yourself or to preserve yourself from that, pop in the description, grab the free resource there. It also gets you on the mailing list where you'll be able to get the regular notifications from ourselves. We send them out like 3 times a week, just to let you know what's going on with us, what's launching, what new classes are coming down the line, and of course those ever popular invites to the live hangout sessions every second Saturday of the month. So to get back onto our question today, why Laura and I won't diagnose your dream, your journey, or your visions for you. And there's a couple of different layered processes to this, but the first one, and kind of primarily the one, is that our belief structure, and it's something that we both kind of adhere to ourselves for our relationships with our deities, is this concept of core-equivalence. It's this right relationship, and acknowledging that the deities themselves are fully formed individual entities with their own kind of agendas, their own kind of thoughts and processes on things. And we encourage people to approach the gods directly, to build your own connection with self first, so that you know where you are from a healthy position of ego, mental health, emotional well-being, etc., and personal sovereignty. And once you are stable within that, then approach your gods, guides, and guardians. Then approach the outside influences that can be of assistance to you, because you'll be doing it from a position of strength. So that is what we actually do. What Laura and I believe is that no one should really stand between you and your relationship with your gods, guides, and guardians. It's not for me to stand between you and your connection to the Dagda. It's not for me to tell you you're doing Dagda wrong, or you're doing Dagda right, or anything like that at all, because I have my own practice, and all I ever do is share the lore and the information that we have from the mythology, from the records, from the stories and the manuscripts, what's been handed down to us through all those generations. And then I'm very clear where I step over into my own personal gnosis, into my own personal journey and personal experience. But that's not the one true way. That's not the only way someone can experience a deity in any way, shape, or form. And so, yeah, both Laura and I very firmly kind of stand and hold to that stance that no one should come between you and your connection with the deity. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't people who can support you on your journey, on your process of understanding and guiding your way through your relationship, or as it occurs many times in these chats, telling you how John messed it up or did something wrong, and therefore you might not mess it up or do it wrong in the same way. That's just sharing experiences and getting perspectives. And perspective, as I've said many times, is an absolute gift, because it allows us to view the world, reality, our processes, and ourselves through an entirely different lens. And that can be something that can be very eye-opening and very challenging in some ways, but with the right mindset, it's very healthy and very affirming. But again, perspectives are going to be colored. I could tell you what I think of the Dagda. I could tell you how I view the Dagda. I could describe the Dagda, how he appears to me in my own visions and my own workings with him. But that's not the only. That doesn't mean that that is it. There is no other way apart from what John says about the Dagda, because that's bullshit, and that's very fucking dangerous. Because then you get into a place where someone with a lot of charisma, me, for example, suddenly ends up in this position of authority and control and power. And next thing you know, you have a cult. So that's not what we do here. Absolutely not. And so when it comes to people's personal experiences on their personal journey, you know, who am I to tell you yes or no about your expectations? I'll answer yes and no about the lore. I'll answer yes and no about, the stories that we have about, the misinformation. I'll tell you, no, that is actually misinformation. Interesting enough, in social media, Morgan Daimler, they're an absolutely legendary resource. They were going back over and combating the whole horned god kind of thing, which is a mistranslation. Like, that's very recently Morgan was going through that. And again, it's tackling there are no horned gods. It's this word, and how that word fer ben, for example, for Dagda, like fer is men or man, ben is horns, but also pinnacles, but also peaks, but also everything. And so there are many different ways, like it's war horns. There are many different ways to translate these Irish words. And especially when you're dealing with the format of the Rosk poetry, like there is a lot of intentional interlinked sounding words that is a multi-layered expression of poetic talent. And so part of this, the skill with creating a Rosk poem, is to weave in as many layers as possible but still have it make a multi-layered sense. And so the Dagda doesn't have horns, absolutely not. Personally, for me, in my opinion, I take it as the man of the peaks or man of pinnacles, because the cauldron of the Dagda came from one of the four great cities of the Tuatha De Danann before they came to Ireland, a place called Murius, and Murius was said to be the fortress of pinnacles. So the cauldron of the Dagda came from Murius, pinnacles, Fairben, pinnacles. But again, I could be wrong. And absolutely, if you believe I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Because if I work to maintain an open-minded exploration of my own spirituality, and if it's approached with compassion and respect, I'll have all the fucking time in the world to kind of chew it over with you and share in your perspectives, because that's the healthy way that we all grow and we all learn. And that's the way that we do it ourselves. Like, if we come across something that is incorrect or that is misinformation, we're not telling you you're wrong. We're not like, you're doing it wrong, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. We're not coming for you in the comments. What we're doing is saying there is more information that you're not aware of. And, sometimes we're very direct about that, or very blunt about that, but that's because we see a lot of it. We see a lot of misinformation, and we know from firsthand experience how it is harmful to an Indigenous population, how it is harmful to Irish ethnicity to have so much misinformation out there, and new generations of misinformation. There's a video in our YouTube channel about the harmfulness of bad information, the danger of bad information, where myself, Laura, Amy, and oh gosh, I can't remember her name, a very concerned member of our TUA, came to have a roundtable discussion about a particular work, a particular book that had been released, and how damaging that was to Irish spirituality. But the person just wanted to do it anyway, so they did. So yeah, when we're kind of talking about the misinformation and miscommunication, that's what we're talking about. But that's not telling you your dreams are wrong, telling you your visions or your journeys are wrong. And we don't want to do that, because, and this is to move on to my second point, the language of the sub and unconscious mind, which is what we're dealing with when we talk about dreams, we talk about visions, we talk about journey processes. The language of that is the deep language of your own personal mind, which is a language of symbolism and analogy. It doesn't deal in definitives. It doesn't, like, tell you specifically, oh yes, read this sign, read this essay document 4, 5, 6 times. And that's why in the dream state, in the unconscious mind, you can't actually read. It's very difficult to actually see and read stuff in that because it's handled by a different part of the brain. And there's a whole fascinating kind of side of neuroscience that's involved here, and neurology and psychology that's involved here. And that is something that we are aware of because Laura studied psychology. And when she was developing the journeying practice, she wove that into it to try and be aware of how the brain will manifest the information and to give the brain space to manifest those experiences and those visions. And so, like, when we break it right the way down, someone might go on a journey, a guided journey with Laura's meditation practices at our school, and they might see a blackbird. Is it the Morrigan? Is it not the Morrigan? Is it like, the Bive? Is it not the Bive? Is it one of the Margu? Is it none of the Margu at all? Is it actually just a blackbird because before you went into the journey, you heard a crow or a jackdaw calling? Or like, is a blackbird significant to you? Is it like something that appears in your area? Is it like the nursery rhyme 4 and 20 blackbirds that your kid happened to be saying not so long ago that stuck in the back of your subconscious mind like an earworm and won't leave? Like, there are so many different possibilities here. That's why it gets so dangerous, and that's another element or another layer as to why Laura and I won't diagnose your dreams for you, because it is the language of your sub and unconscious mind. So, if I say the word bone, for example, straight away, is it a human bone? Is it an animal bone? Is it like a shoulder bone? Is it a finger bone? Is it like a tibia, a fibia, a scapula, a humerus, which I think is the funniest bone in the body because haha. And so there's so many different things like that have instantly popped up into your brain when I said the word bone. And so it's how you connect with that and what it means to you. Like, for some people, they may have grown up around a farm, for example. They may have experienced kind of, the processing of animals. They may have actually been a hunter, like they may have that in their past. And so bones mean something very different to someone who grew up in an urban environment and has only ever seen a bone inside a raw chicken that they cooked in the oven or anything like that at all, or the food that they got from wherever shop, so our understanding of this is always going to be colored by our unique personal experiences and perspectives in reality, which means that it is very fucking complex. Now, that being said, that's the kind of 2 points really that, we don't believe anyone should come between you and your connection to your deities, your gods, guides, and guardians. And also, who am I to diagnose or to tell you the language of your own brain? So that's what we always kind of encourage people for all of the journey practices, is to find some way to take notes, even if it's 1 or 2 words after your journey or after your dream. Like, dream journals are a thing, people. They have a purpose. Now, I'm not talking about sparkly clouds and like fancy kind of glitter pages or whatever like that. But if that's what you're into, absolutely, like, love it and do it. If that will help you document it, then absolutely do it. What the most important part here is that you do document it in some way, shape, or form, because your sub and unconscious mind is speaking a different language to the language of your conscious brain. And so the only way you'll be able to pick up on and be able to translate that information from your subconscious experience or unconscious experience into like the rationality of your conscious mind is by documenting it, is by writing it down, is by kind of, okay, well, I'm having dreams about stones or bones or black crows or, Ireland or whatever happens to be. How many times you have in those dreams? How often does it occur? Is there anything else that's happening at that particular time? Do you dream about, dark people or dark cloaked women at full moons or dark moons? You won't be able to answer any of those questions at all unless you document it. And by having it written down, you're like, okay, well, I dreamt about this on this day. I dreamt about this on this day. Was there anything else happening in the world on that day? Was there anything else happening for me in my life on that day? Oh, I had a dream where it was all darkness and I was being hunted by something. Oh, well, okay, that's because I have exams next week and I'm stressed as fuck. You know, the only way you're able to begin to break down that information is by documenting it in some way, shape, or form. And then over time, you'll begin to understand the analogies that's being presented by your own mind, the symbolism that's being presented by your unconscious mind. And for some people, for example, they might see a motherly figure in their mind. Is that because it's their mother? Is it because, they had difficulties with their mother and they're seeking a motherly figure in their mind? There's so many different possibilities, and the only way to really get to an answer, a satisfactory answer, is to have the information in front of you and to revisit and check it for yourself. Now, that being said, there are people who can help. Now, me and Laura, it's not our area of expertise, and we're not. That's why, we do get contacted on a quite frequently, and people's like, I saw this in my journey. Is it this god? Is it this goddess? Can you tell me specifically? And I was like, who am I to tell you? And that's why we respond multiple times. Like, have you asked them? This person is appearing in my dreams, or this person is experienced when I journey to the beach in Laura's journeying method. I see this person. Did you ask who they are? Did you present yourself with an openness and a curiosity and respectfully say, well, who are you visiting, and get to know them? Because our belief as pagans is that, we believe in polytheism. We believe in the existence of multiple gods. And so it could be anyone. So instead of trying to run around the houses and diagnose it, or ask me to tell you if you're seeing the Dagda in your dreams or not, ask them. Ask straight up, and you'll know straight away, because you'll get your response. Or you might not be ready to hear the answer, and so you'll have to track the information and keep seeing if it turns up again. So these things are important to making a practical approach to your spirituality. Now, I said there are people who might be able to help. There's someone in our Irish Pagan School community. Their name is Kendra McMurray, and they offer a service of supported counseling, dream kind of work. I don't know the specifics of it, and what I'll do is I'll probably find their website and throw it down in the description of this post or audio there. So it means that you'll be able to kind of go and find them if you're interested in it. But again, it's a service and it's a skill. I do provide that service myself. There is people who, if they need a consultation, they can approach in the Irish Pagan School. There's a consultation option on our school, which you'll get an opportunity to send me an email, send me whatever you need to send me, and I'll do my best to go through it, read it through it, and come back to you with an understanding or some perspective, or the information to try and help clarify what you need. So those services are available in that facet, but it's not something that I can just every 5 minutes be answering the next person who sends me their dream exploration or their journey exploration, which is why our communities are so important as well to us here at the Irish Pagan School, because there is such a thing as group gnosis, as in a collective kind of understanding or collective kind of experience of things. You might have a particular dream at a particular time and it might mean something to you. But if you share that in a like-minded community where you're safe and comfortable to do so, you might find out other people are having similar experiences or not having similar experiences. That then gives you more information to begin to go back to your dream journal, go back to your tracking and say, is it something, is it specific to me, or is this something that others have experienced, that then allows you to change your perspective or alter your position and see if you can explore further. So it's a complex one. As I hope I've kind of given some perspective on it from our point of view. It's not that we don't accept the value of dreams. We fully believe 100% that deities can and do communicate with us through our sub and unconscious minds. But it's not for me to tell you if it is or isn't. It's not for me to diagnose your mind for you. because I would then be doing that through the language of my brain or my mind, which is like having another person translate a language that you're supposed to be understanding yourself. And I could get it wrong. I tell you, oh, well, obviously you're dreaming about black dogs at this particular time of the month. So maybe there's, something here or whatever. And I could be fucking way off base because I don't know you from Adam. And that's a factor of it too. So it really has to come down to accepting the fact that what is occurring in your mind is a product of your mind, and the language of your sub and unconscious is unique to you. Now, there might be some shared touchstones, shall we say. There might be some shared stuff that is generated by the culture you grew up in, the ethnicity you have, the trauma you might have if it's similar to other people's traumas. Like there could be similar touchstones, but the fundamental basics of the language is going to be core to just yourself. And that's why it's a very unique skill for someone like Kendra to be able to go through those processes with it and say, from their experience, going through with a group, going through with a community, working with other people to get a better understanding of what is the impact here, that they might be able to give guides or they might be able to give touch points. But even with me, like I will do the best to give you my perspectives on things, but I will always say it's my perspective. And the best and most important thing is for you to embrace your own mental language, your own mental landscape, to own it, to live in it, and to embrace it, and then to explore it. Which is why the guided journey process that we have at the Irish Pagan School is designed the way it is. Like the beginner's journeys is completely free, and I encourage anyone to go and do it. Whether you have revelatory kind of experiences or not, like even as a meditation practice, to gift yourself the time to be mindful for a few minutes, it's absolutely worth it. And to put the brain in neutral, because we are very cerebral creatures. Us hyper evolved monkey creatures, we're very cerebral. Our brains are going all of the time. Even when we're supposedly asleep, our sub and unconscious brains are still actually doing stuff. So being able to find some practice, some process with a guided meditation to put yourself in neutral, to kind of take it off acceleration and brake and go, and just to stop and to stall and just to be able to relax and to allow your brain to drift. That is a very difficult skill in its own right, but it's very healthy. From a neuroscience, the neuroscience says that people who meditate have better neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means that their brain, the literal brain functions themselves, have much more resilience in making new neurological patterns, neurological connections inside of the mind. And so that is a very, very healthy process. And it's one of the benefits of meditation, whether you believe in God's guides, guardians or not, whether you have experiences, whether you vision things or anything. I don't see things when I meditate. And that is one of the challenges for me personally to overcome. But I still like to do it because it helps put my brain in neutral. And I know that I'm giving my brain that few minutes of not go, 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 which is really helpful. So yeah, Laura and I will never stand between you and your practice. All we ever teach here at the Irish Pagan School are tools, information, guideposts to empower you in knowledge that allows you to explore your own spiritual journey. It's not for me to tell you you're doing it right. It's not for me to tell you you're doing it wrong. All I can do is point out where information might be correct, might be incorrect, or to, tell you my experiences, because who knows, it might save you a bit of a difficulty down the road. But there are individuals out there who do offer that. And like we don't recommend people lightly here. Kendra has worked with us in our communities as a moderator, and so it is someone that we have a lot of faith and trust in, and have heard good reviews from people who work with Kendra. So there are individuals out there who can help, who will take those processes, and it's worth respecting their skill and their time and their effort and energy that they're giving as well, for those practices, because it does take a lot. So being able to support that kind of effort within a community is a very healthy and very honorable kind of thing to do as well. But hopefully this has given you some perspective. Hopefully this has given you some insight. And when Laura kind of like shares in their social media space, please don't tell me about your dreams. It's not about you. It's about the fact that we get those emails regularly. We get a lot of people who, you know, and they're excited about it. They're passionate about it. They've had an experience. They want to share it. And we're delighted. We're honestly delighted that the tools that we're providing are showing results for those individuals. But we get a lot of responses and we can never come back to all of them. And again, there is that hesitation about we never want to stand between anyone and their relationship with a God, guide, or guardian. And who are we to tell you the language of your mind? So essentially what I'm saying through all of this is you got to do the work. Whenever you have a dream or a journey or a vision, anything like that at all, you got to find some way to document it, write it down, get it out of your brain so that you don't sit chewing over it and chewing over it and chewing over it. And it's only in the patterns, it's only in the repeated behaviors, repeated kind of experiences that you'll begin to see what your brain is trying to tell you, what your sub and unconscious mind is trying to relate to you through its language of symbolism and analogy. So thank you very much for being with me here for the chat. I hope it's been an interesting one. I hope it has given you some perspective on where we come from. And again, please pop down into those resources, pick it up for yourself, pop on into our email, like join us on the mailing list, because we send out a lot of content on a regular basis, which like this is designed to help our community, designed to give to our community as much as we can. So it makes it easier for them to move along their path of spiritual growth. So from me here at the Irish Pagan School, I will say Gurav Mila Mahagas. Thank you very, very much. And until next time, look after yourself and take care. Slán. Goodbye.